Jorge Alonso.
Very much. My name is Jorge Olson, and today we're going to talk about how to get a dream job, how to get a promotion, and how to get a raise in a year. Forgot about that. In a year. Can that happen? Is it realistic? How much money can you make? How much money is a raise? Well, I'm talking 100% kind of raise, doubling your income with a job, not in a business. There's different types of ways of making money. In a job is one of them. And we'll discuss today how to do it in a job, your current job or a new job. In any economy, the same principles apply to the job market, especially here in the US. Other countries are very different because the economies are very different. A bad economy here is a wonderful economy in Africa. So let's talk about the economy here and what we can do here. What are the principles that you need to follow? The principles that you need to follow are, number one, you have to be very unselfish. Yes, even though you want money, you have to be very unselfish. That's number one. Number two, you have to look, not ask, look for a boss, not for a job. Look for a boss. Look to work for somebody, not for a particular company. Look for a boss. And number three, you have to communicate. You have to tell them what you want. And once you tell them what you want, ask them, how can I get there? These are my goals. Please teach me. How do I get to my goals? That's number three. I learned this, you can say, a combination of the hard way and the easy way, depending on how you look at it. After college, I couldn't find a job. I couldn't buy a job if I wanted to. And I applied, 220 applications. I couldn't land a single interview. It was horrible. It was horrible. Nothing. And I was applying for everything that you can imagine. It didn't matter. I just needed a job. So I started working part-time. I started teaching at a language school. $10 an hour, 2 hours a day, but hey, gas was maybe $1 a gallon, so at least it paid for gas, right? And that was my philosophy. It pays for gas so I can go out and continue looking for another job. And that's what I did. And I used rule number one, be unselfish. The way I used it was very simple. I had students, and I wanted to learn the most I could from them. Notice I'm not just saying I wanted to be the best teacher. Yes, I wanted to be a good teacher, and I wanted them to learn, but that's not enough. That's not really being unselfish. That's being a good teacher. What I wanted to do is really, really be unselfish. And what I did was I got interested in my students. Everything, what they thought, where they came from, what they wanted in life, why were they here? And I learned a lot of very interesting things from my students. For example, nobody was from San Diego. Almost nobody was from the USA. They were all from all over the world. France, Germany, Latin America, Korea, China, all over the place. And they were all executives, and they were learning languages in San Diego because it's sunny. They wanted to play golf and have 2 weeks to 2 months off, paid, and learn another language. So it was great for them. And then I started seeing that everybody was an executive. I taught the CEO of a couple of Fortune 500 companies here in San Diego, a lot of small, medium companies, a lot of executives, VPs, etc. So I started asking questions. What do you do? And then I started teaching my classes around what they did so they could learn English in another language and doing business in English in another language. But I got more interested. How about your personal life? Are you here with your wife? Let me take you out to lunch. You want a free tour guide? I'll become your friend, show you the town, everything for you. Because it was fun, because I like people, and because it's rule number one. You have to be unselfish. What happened was, I got hired by one of my students. And funny enough, when I went back to the other teachers and I asked them about their students, nobody knew about them. What do I do? Where do they come from? They didn't know. And I got hired. And I got hired into a software company. And my background wasn't in software. I didn't know, I knew how to use computers because I'm from that generation, but that's it. So what did I do? I did the second thing. I asked the person, because now I found the person. I didn't look for a job, I looked for a person, right? I looked for a person to hire me. So now I had my mentor, and I asked this mentor, I want to make more than $100,000 next year, from $10, and I want to be an executive in the company. And after he laughed hysterically, he told me exactly what I needed to do, and he told me, if you do A, B, C, I'll keep my word. Now the company was very sales-oriented, and I didn't want to sell, but it's the rule. It's rule number 3. I asked, and he told me, so now I had to do it. That's the rule. So I said, okay, that's what I want. And at that time, what I wanted to make money, and I wanted to be an executive. That was my goal. So I did exactly what they told me. And in that particular company, they rewarded people who opened new markets, or new companies, or new verticals. And that's exactly what I did. I went out and I opened Canada and the US for the company. They kept their word, and soon after I was CEO of US operations. I was making much more than what I wanted. I had an apartment in La Jolla, I had a car every year, a month and a half vacation. I was an executive, truly an executive, like I always wanted to be, and I was 27 maybe. I just followed the simple rules. There are 3 rules. You can follow them. Maybe it's not your job right now. Maybe it's another job. But the rules are the same. Number 1, you have to be unselfish. Number 2, don't just look for a job. You have to look for a person. Look for a person to work for. And number 3, communicate. Tell them what you want, what your goals are. I want to make $100,000. I want to make 70. I want to make 20,000. Whatever your goals are, and ask them, how can I get there? Thank you very much.